We take a look here. You've got the Ukrainian crew on the bottom of the screen. They won in Varese 2 weeks ago. They won the preliminary race, beating Great Britain, beating the Netherlands last time out, who were the gold and silver medalists last year at the World Championships. But the Ukrainians yet to qualify for the Olympic Games.
So closest to us, Elodie Ravera Scaramazino, the Niçoise in the stroke of the French quadruple, yet to qualify for the Olympics. And here are the Swiss. Sophia Meakin in the 2 seats. Follow her on Instagram, the Geneva-based rower. There's the Romanians. They have qualified for the Olympics. Iona Madalena Morisan, again from the northeast of Romania, the Suceava province, in the stroke seats. Pia Greiton, closest to us, from Osnabrücker Ruder Club. Blonde hair up in a little bunch there, you can see. Next we will look at the world champions from Great Britain. Closest to us, Georgie Brayshaw, behind her Lola Anderson, Hannah Scott, and the, I guess, shorter Lauren Henry up in the bows. But these 4 women, well, they've yet to qualify for the Olympics, but they have really set the rowing world alight with their form so far this year. Will they get a second win over the British world champions in 2 weeks? Time will tell. Just, what, 6.5, 7 minutes away.
Well, a very long hold again as the crews sat there waiting for that green light to shine and for the buzzer to go. But they all got away smoothly. We're looking at Great Britain easing their way into their work. They're not the highest rating crew. In fact, they're the lowest. They're at 42 strokes a minute. And that's perhaps why they've given away that canvas or so, or perhaps the rest of the field's taken a canvas or so in the early stages.
Yeah, to be fair, as we look at the British boat there, it's all fairly close up. I mean, the Ukrainians have gone out well. They'll probably want to take a little bit more. There's the Swiss quad, stroked by Lisa Lucia, the 23-year-old, former under-23 world champion from Lucerne. Romanian women did so well, I thought, to qualify this quad for the Games last year with a 6th place finish. This boat's been shaken up. We've got Maria Laura Dumitru from the lightweight women's double scull, who was in that event last year, but she's lost her place to Van Groningen this year, who's in the lightweight women's double scull. We'll see them shortly. But Dumitru's gone into bow. Now, look at that beautiful rhythm off the back turn for the Romanians. Yeah, it looked fantastic, didn't it? The way those blades were just completely synchronized together coming down to the water and not going far off the water. Almost the Ukrainians carrying their hands only just low enough to clear the blades out of the water and then just keeping them very close and folded them into the water so efficiently. It's working really well for the Ukrainian crew. You can see they've got a second lead there on the rest of the field. I tell you what, Schweitzer, Meakin, Dupre and Lucia are going to be really pleased that they're in such a strong position relative to the world champions. World champions will be happy, I think, with their start. They'll look to move back on Ukraine. Can Ukraine move out any more, or is that the margin they're going to have to deal with for the rest of this race? Switzerland definitely moving quicker than I think in Varese 2 weeks ago. Well, we're looking down the British quad. We know they've had a slightly troublesome winter, the world champions, taking it in turns really to have one issue or another in terms of injuries and illness. But the British had a reasonable race out last time, but will be disappointed to have been 4th. They'll want to show some progress. The Ukrainians, just as 2 weeks ago, taking a very strong lead, and I think Martin's still moving on the rest of the field. They are still moving on the rest of the fields. There is bow number 2, you can see, bow of the Swiss boats, who are leading the world champions. This will be great news for Swiss rowing. The Swiss have qualified for the Olympics. Great news for Sophia Meakin. Pascal Walker not in the Swiss boat because of injury. Meakin has taken a place, and this might be good omens for her. So there are these Ukrainian crew. The bow women's from Kiev. The 2 women, Dudchenko and Vakogliad, are from Kherson. been totally destroyed. The lovely rowing club on the Dnipro River is just complete rubble there. And Anastasia Kozenkova from Kovel, which is in the northwest of Ukraine. And of course their parents, well, one set of their parents is on the south bank, but it's not very safe there, being shelled all the time. And the other set of parents live in the occupied zone. So the story of these Ukrainian women and the war is writ large, and they are so proud to represent their flag. Decent scull from the French. Rivera Scaramuzino there on the left of your picture, just leading her crew into a strong position. Britain edging back, I think, Greg.
Yeah, I think if anything, the Ukrainians have stopped moving on the rest of the field. They got out well, but the British have held that move. No, perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps it is the British who are moving, because you look to the far side and the Swiss have dropped back. The British have had a strong move back to about half a length on that Ukrainian crew.
Yeah, they've put a hammer down. Look at Georgie Brayshaw there. Lola Anderson, so strong in that boat. Hannah Scott.
It looks like a tough gearing,
yeah,
looking at the British. The blades go in the water and they really get stuck, as opposed to the Ukrainians who, to me, it looks a little bit freer and easier moving.
It does. What would you prefer in these sort of conditions, Greg?
I prefer to be in front, either way round. However you do it, doesn't really matter. It's about whether you're out in front. Again, lovely shot here from the drone Ukrainians. You can see how they're steering nicely down the centre of the lane. But it looks from this angle like the British are coming back.
I reckon the British are going to take this, you know. I kind of, you know, think the Ukrainians had a bit more than this in Varese 2 weeks ago. But the British have had a fantastic third quarter. They've narrowed the margin to, what, a third of a length. You can see 0.71.
And they have moved really on the rest of the field. The British are rating more similarly to the Ukrainians than they were 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, it looked like the British were still slightly in a sort of long, low-pace way of rowing, while the others were really up there and competitive.
Look at Lola Anderson trucking there, and there you see the Ukrainian Darina Verkoglia, Dasha Verkoglia, and Katerina Dudchenko in the middle of the boat from Kherson. Here come the British. We saw what they did to the Dutch with their sprint finish in the World Championships last year, just nicking that gold medal by the narrowest of margins.
Well, you can see the raciness when you look in the bottom right of the stroke rates now. The British are able to come up as the Romanians come up here. Coming into the last 250, the British bow just hits the front.
Well, they weren't so pleased in Varese, but, you know, to be fair, they said we are going to put on speed. Look what 2 weeks have done. Pain etched on the face of Anastasia Kozenkova. And that is the stroke woman of the Ukrainian eights. I don't think they'll have the sprint. Georgie Brayshaw, well, the British haven't, to be fair, they haven't practiced their sprint. But have Ukraine found something extra, Greg?
Yeah, if anything, the Ukrainians are trying to come back. It's still a small gap that the British have here. We see it as they take a look over their shoulder towards the finish line.
This is just like the World Championships, except instead of Ukraine, it was Britain and the Netherlands. And we're coming up to line. Great Britain just have that margin. Look across from Lauren Henry, the bowwoman of the British boat, and she sees they're going away from Ukraine. France at the top going for the bronze medal. Ukraine take the silver. Will it be France or Germany for the bronze? It will be Germany. Just ahead of France, another bronze medal for the German women's quad with super sub on board, Lisa Gutfleisch.
Well, I think we're going to have to wait for that one in terms of who got that bronze medal, whether it was the Germans who got the bronze in Varese, whether they will have got a bronze again 2 weeks later. But it's a much improved performance from the British quad. A really tough scull for the Ukrainians. Getting the silver, gosh, that's going to have hurt.
Kozenkova's just out on her feet there, isn't she?
Yeah.
Lovely close-up shots at the start.
And I can take a look at my monitor, which tells me that it is the Germans who just got that bronze medal, a tenth of a second pretty much ahead of the French over there on the far side of the course. So if you go on the World Rowing website, there's lots of nice interviews and talk with these athletes. You're talking about Ukrainians. Natalie Dovgodko, who sits in the bow seat, was talking about how hard the last 2 years have been. You're talking about the war and just that they feel like they're doing everything they can for their country out here, representing the country, racing at the World Cups and now at the European Championships. And they will head on to try to qualify for the Paris Olympics, and I think everyone will be supporting them.
Yeah, to be fair with that speed, I mean, they got to be favourites to qualify.
You would have thought
Yeah,
they should.
Look at Lauren Henry there. I think that was Lauren in the bows.
In the bow seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, confirmation there of that win for Great Britain, the world champions, now the European champions, ahead of Ukraine and Germany. And
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of Great Britain. Let's hear it for Australia.